Hello, everybody, and today we are privileged to have Lucy Spencer with us. Lucy is from Conscious Business, and I'm going to get it wrong. Please say it for me, Lucy.
Conscious Business Solutions.
Conscious Business Solutions. I can't read my handwriting, and I couldn't see what was on her screen. That's terrible as a show host. I understand that. Lucy, I'm so delighted to have you on. Lucy and I chatted a while ago, and I am, as you know, passionate about people being conscious because it helps us to understand a lot. Lucy, could you please share a bit about what brought you to this point, your journey, where you began, what happened, and how you happened here? And please share with people where you stay.
Okay, so we'll start off with where I am. I am currently down in Devon in England. So beautiful part of the country and lots of nice nature out there. The sea, the moors, brilliant. So where I started, I was originally a project manager in the corporate world for many years, like a dozen years. So I was there working on systems, making things more efficient, being in the middle of people, getting involved in any disputes that were going on, because at the end of the day, the buck stopped with me. I had to make sure that my projects, completed on time, etc. So I was very much the person in the middle, making sure people were happy to the extent I could. Even to the point where I was on really trying to champion like days out and kind of awards at the end of a project. So I was very much about all of that sort of thing. In 2017, I jumped out of the corporate world to go and work for a mentor of mine. She was a very gifted lady, very much into spirituality, and she had been teaching me that on a personal development sort of thing in the background, hence why I jumped across to work with her. She had an online school for adults to learn tools to really overcome their fears and doubts, their blocks, and move forward. So I learned a lot whilst I was there, partially about what it means to be in a small business. So it was the practical side of it. It was the first time I've always worked in corporate businesses. It was the first time I had seen, what goes on in finance, what you need to think about there. Marketing, oh my God, that was interesting. The first time you learn about social media and posts that need to go out and scheduling it all and how you should write these things. So yeah, it was, in terms of business, it was very much an education, but there was also that element of creating a conscious business, and it was my first introduction to that terminology. So having a business where you basically were a family, you had each other's backs, you all wanted the best for each other, and you were very aware of how your actions were going to affect the other people around you. And it didn't always, work as planned. Sometimes egos did get in the way. What can I say? We're human.
We're human. As you say, what can we say? We're human.
Yeah, it was a work in progress. It was my first. To some degree, it was very valuable because I saw what could happen, the things that could go wrong if people didn't fully sign up to it. If they maybe said they did, but then didn't put the actions behind it, I saw very easily how that could come into play. But during this time, I also learnt a lot about energy tools. So thinking about the ways of communicating to the subconscious using colors, numbers, symbols, sounds. There were lots of classes that took place. So I was in the background, kind of facilitating some of these classes, or in terms of like the Zoom and making sure it was all going well. But I was, listening into a lot of content around how we operate on a subconscious level. And I began to see how this could really be put into a business setting. So I, after a certain period of time, I jumped out of that company and I started working with other smaller companies. And in 2020, some friends actually came to me and said, "Hey, Lucy, we know your expertise. We know, everything you've done in the business world. You used to work in corporate. You know your stuff, and we know what you did with your mentor and learning all the kind of the conscious side of things. Just about to start a business. Can you help me put all that stuff into my business?"
Oh, wow.
I didn't even, consciously say, "Hey, I'm going to start a business." It was people coming to me and saying, "Oh, help me." And another friend heard about the first friend saying it, and a couple of months down the line said, "Oh, can you help me with mine too?" She was a bit more knowledgeable about how business worked, but she wanted that conscious element added in.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I got started.
I think that is so amazing. So can you explain to our audience who may not understand what consciousness is, what being conscious is about within a business? What is that elusive element that people are looking for and are unaware of it?
Absolutely. And there actually is a whole thing of there being conscious business practices and conscious leadership. So it's not just me. There are other people at the moment that are pushing this forward, but it is relatively new. If you look at the types of leadership models out there, conscious leadership really has developed from other types of models out there that didn't quite serve, like servant leadership.
Yeah,
really great, but it limited you. You weren't thinking about yourself. You weren't putting yourself first, which is really what you need to be doing.
mm-hmm.
So in conscious business, you are very much led by your purpose. That's, I would say, the first thing you would look at if you want to. If you think, "Hey, I want to know more about this. I want to start putting this into place." That's where you start, because that's what will drive everything in your business. Your vision, your mission will come out of your company's purpose, and it will really help to ensure that employees acting according to who the company is, what the company stands for, and will inspire them at the same time, and others. An amazing, company purpose will easily inspire customers and suppliers. They'll just want to get involved with that company. So it's a really kind of important key point. But then there's very much a desire to behave in an ethical manner, and to just have that honesty in place. So lots of open conversations, and to do the right thing. Doing the right thing is a big deal in conscious business. No matter how hard it is, at the end of the day, you will have stronger relationships, which is kind of what it's all about. That communication, that relationship building is what's going to really make your business successful. And then there is a desire to do no harm to people on the planet. So that's the classic conscious business ethos: do no harm to people on the planet. And we're adding the planet in there as well, because that's such an important thing to so many people.
Yeah, well, we live here.
Yes, and look at the damage that's been done to it. And there are all of these global meetings, like the COP meetings, where they're coming up with targets. So a lot of people in business get that businesses need to play their part. So it's becoming the norm gradually to have something like a sustainability agenda in your business, so that you are focused on how you can improve things for the planet as well as the people in your business. And the last thing I would mention is continuous improvement. There's always a desire to keep moving forward, improving what you're doing, looking for new ways that you can serve your customers, better ways of relating to your employees, finding new ways to kind of get to know your employees better so you can support them better. And as I was saying there about the planet, new ways to have a positive impact on the planet.
I love that. I'm fascinated by you saying new ways of discovering and getting to know your employees. What does that look like in practical terms? Because I know I used to hate like having to go to Christmas dinners and things, because it always seemed so fake and false. What has your experience been with with the exercise of getting to know people better.
And yeah, I've had that experience as well in the corporate world. Sometimes people rock up to work and they're suspicious when their boss starts trying to, chat to them. It's almost like they want something from me. Why are they trying to butter me up by talking to me about this? They don't usually do this.
Yes.
It's almost a case of making sure they understand that this is a regular thing, that you really do care, coming into it in an open way, being vulnerable. That's a big thing people will talk about when they really want their employees to see that they care. Being able to tell stories about, hey, you've messed up before, you've got it wrong, and you're going through this too. Mm-hmm. So your employees will understand that you're human as well, and you're not coming to work just as this machine. There are other things going on. You have emotions, and it's okay for your employee to show this as well. So it's very much about doing this on a regular basis, having informal chats where your employee understands that, hey, it's actually, this is the way it should be. This feels good to kind of operate in this way, to be able to relate to my boss like this, and they do care about me, and they are telling me, and I believe that when they say that I am, an important part of this company, I am contributing to things.
Okay, so almost it's a form of recognition as well as vulnerability from picking up on what you're saying.
I mean, reward is one of the number one reasons, or lack thereof, one of the number one reasons why people are resigning from their jobs right now. In various different ways. So like on a more superficial level, it could be that they're not getting the pay or the benefits that they want. But it goes a long way to be in a business where your manager is pointing out the great work you're doing and showing you examples of why it's important and how it's contributing to the company's purpose, the company's vision and mission. Or even showing how your actions are contributing to the product that's going out to customers, and how customers are reacting to the work that you're carrying out. So there are lots of little things you can do that really go down well with employees. It really gets them to understand that, hey, I am making a difference. This is great. I like working here. I'm able to do something here.
It's almost along the hell yeah factor rather than the oh squeak factor.
Absolutely.
Lucy, I'd like to circle back to what you were saying about sustainability. What would that look like in a company? For me, mindset is very, very important, and sustainability is very linked to mindset. What would it look like in a small business if you had to look at, because corporate, I know it would be slightly different, or I don't know. I'm assuming it would be slightly different on the premise that when you assume it makes an ass of you and me. What does it look like in a small business, sustainability to support the earth?
Yeah, I would say, just to point out, that there are three aspects to sustainability. There is the social and economic, as well as the environmental. So in a conscious business, you're always thinking of people, the planet, and your bottom line. So 3 Ps: people, planet, profit.
Profit, yes. Oh, I like that.
This is one aspect of sustainability. So it's a case of having a plan in place. So actually putting actions in place that are feasible for you, i.e. you can easily complete these. You've given yourself a time frame which is realistic, and you think about how the actions you're going to put in place are going to impact anybody else that might be in that company. How are they relating to your company's values and purpose? So whenever you put in place a change, it's important to think about how it all relates. But then, no matter what the size of your company, I've worked with people who are have micro businesses, them solopreneurs, with micro businesses, and it's just a case of getting them to start to have that plan and start to put things in place. And in terms of the environment, okay, maybe you wouldn't want to get in a company that's going to assess what your carbon emissions look like. But you would look at things like, okay, how can I reduce my energy usage? How can I reduce that? How could I potentially recycle more?
Yes,
What could I
especially
do?
paper.
Yeah. What could I do on a from a technology point of view? Because there are lots of, it's really interesting when you get into it. There are loads of little things you can do. Like if you use a different font, Arial's the classic, it's the standard, right? But it's quite a big, bulky font if you look at it. So if you change your font to a smaller one, like Calibra, I love Calibra.
Oh, me too.
You will be taking up less space on the page, less ink, and potentially you'll be printing less pages. It's little things like that. And then think about if you need to print things and, or that sort of thing. But there are so many interesting little things that you can do when you start to look into it, like this, changing your font. I was blown away by this one. It's such a simple thing. I would never have thought of it.
And Calibra is actually much easier to read, if I'm correct.
I think so. I've been using it for years. I do like it.
Yeah, I also do. I find it much easier to read for me. Also because I speed read. So it's much easier for me to speed read with it than with the larger font. Although having said that, I speed read anyway. Please, can you share, you mentioned now color is one of my things. I love color. You mentioned how you use color to help people in their business with their being more conscious. What does that look like? And please share what your colors for your business that mean for you.
Absolutely. Colors is one of the easier energetic tools for me to teach clients, because they understand that, hey, color therapy is out there. It is a thing. We do react a certain way to colors. So they do understand quite quickly that, hey, color in a business is important. Whereas when you start to talk about numbers and how they relate to your business, you lose them quite quickly. So colors are my go-to starting point for introducing energetic tools. For me personally, for my business, my colors are 2 shades of blue, because I believe that successful business is all based in the communication in a business. So I have a couple of different shades of blue representing 2 different types of communication. So one more heartfelt and one a more kind of regal type of communication, because that's the essence of my business. That's what I'm trying to get across to people.
That is beautiful.
Yep. So people can use colors like that in their branding. So it can really represent who they are as a business, but they can also use it within, say, their office space. They could have certain areas. It's become increasingly common to have, say, chill out areas in an office and areas where you collaborate. So if you've got that chill out area, think about having calmer colors so people do feel relaxed. Again, go back to blue. It's meant to be a very relaxing, calming color. When you're in your area where you want people to come and collaborate and kind of come up with all these amazing ideas, innovative ideas for your business, think about the energizing colors. The orange is very much associated with creativity. So colors like this in that area. So you could easily do things like that. And then another thing, not necessarily just color, but it is part and parcel of it, is bringing plants into the office. It's got so many added benefits to it. It's not just about the fact that you're going to have a pop of color, and green, I would say, is very much associated with power. So it's really kind of going to upgrade how people are feeling. But there's part of that is because of the power of nature. So you're bringing in that connection to the outside world, and what being in the outside world gives to us. It energizes us. So that's another little thing that you could bring into the business, which is not solely color. It has additional benefits.
Oh, that is beautiful. Yes, I love having plants around. My challenge is that sometimes I don't always remember they're around. So I make sure I can see them, because otherwise they aren't going to survive. And whereas in the garden, I tend to see them a lot more. That's it. Lucy, this has been just so interesting. If you could share one thing that you've learned that you feel is so important for being more conscious, what would that look like, sound like, or feel like?
One thing that I would say is to, when you're in a business, keep working on your relationship with your employees, keep being aware of how your behaviors are going to impact them. Remember that you're the leader. You need to show that you're embodying your company's values and your company's ethos first and foremost, and really keep looking to have those open, honest conversations, because that's going to come with so many more benefits. When your employees feel supported and cared for, they're going to be more productive. They are going to come up with more innovative ideas. They're going to want to collaborate with each other more, which again leads to kind of amazing solutions being put in place. Ultimately, I know in a conscious business, it's not the primary thing, but it's always going to impact your company turnover, your profit. Yes. If you put in that time and that effort to really raise your employees up, ensure they're fulfilled and happy, and you've got that amazing relationship that's helping do that, it's really going to benefit your company in so many ways.
Definitely. I've seen that even myself. I come from a nursing background, and the wards where the sister would say, well done, was normally much more well run, and the patients received far better care than the sister was going, you haven't done this properly and you haven't done that properly, and get your butt together here and get your butt together there. So I totally resonate with that. It's so interesting. I was on with a group of ladies yesterday, and we were talking about being conscious in business and how many companies forget what their core values are, and then they wonder the reason their bottom line goes down. And it's just been so interesting. It was very interesting listening to them, where they had been involved in companies where the company said their mission statement was this. Meanwhile, the practices were totally opposite to what they profess to do. Have you seen that in your experience?
100%. In so many places. And the thing I would say to counteract that is keep referring back to them. So when you're, for instance, setting objectives for employees, if you still do that, some companies are moving away from that to allow things to be a little bit more open and to allow employees to be more empowered. But when you have something like that in place, refer it back to what the values are, the mission is of the company, so that your employees are always thinking about it. As I was saying earlier, you can keep referring to these things when you're starting a new project or partway through a project. Keep looking to make sure, hey, is this the right thing for our company? Is this in line with our company's purpose, our vision, our mission? Does it speak to our values? So it's just the fact that if you keep coming back to it, if you keep saying, okay, is this right for us? Is this us? Are we going in the right direction? Is this the right action to take? You'll never forget what your values are. They'll just be like completely embodied in everything you do.
Very powerful. Would you feel that companies have a mindset?
I would say overall, yes, a company has an energy at the end of the day of its own, which is created by the people within it, and it would have a collaborative, a core way of approaching things, which is why it's so important to be conscious about what you want to have in your business and to create what you want to see. So you can very much, again, from all things you'll put in place, from your purpose, your code of ethics, put in place that way of operating that means people are going to be naturally thinking in a way that's positive and will have the impact that you want.
So it comes basically back to congruency and integrity, that's just what I'm hearing from what you're saying. It's being congruent for where you're going, because as part of personal leadership, which is what I work with, being conscious is so, so important. And yet I see people, and I've caught myself, let's open disclosure, because I have so many interests, I tend to become incongruent with what the basis is of where I'm serving my clients. And when I come back to congruency, the biz and consciousness of that, where I'm going with this is, have you seen that congruency plays a huge part with being conscious in business?
Yes. And I would say it's very much a practice, as so much of being operating in a conscious manner is, because we're not taught to do this. We're taught to do the opposite.
True.
When we come into business, it's just to follow on from what we've learned previously in school or what have you, that, hey, you listen to other people, they're going to have the best ideas, and you do what you're told and all this sort of thing. It's only now that we're realizing, do you know what? None of that actually pays. We're humans. We want to be treated in a certain way. It's basic psychology.
Yes.
So it's very much having that awareness of doing things different and learning to keep practicing, as I said earlier. Yeah. You learn to do things differently. You understand why. You get that it really resonates, which it does with the majority of people, because back to human nature, and keep practicing. And if you find that you've moved away from it a little bit, then just get back into to flow. I would say that yes, as you've pointed out, when you aren't operating according to your core values, your company's values, things will go amiss. Things won't go in the way you want to. Life will become harder.
Yes.
You'll see things, the challenges will come, and instead of finding them interesting or exciting, or something that will help you grow, they're going to hit you hard.
Yes.
So it's coming back into your center and really understanding that what you're about, what you stand for, and ensure that you're operating in that way, and things will open up.
Sure, that you have given so much there, and it all comes down to staying in integrity and being conscious of what we're doing. If you could sum up what you do for companies, I love your enhancing the humanness of business operations through conscious practices. Could you sum that up as a feeling?
It's interesting because when I first started out, I thought it was all about helping businesses just be more successful by having this, as I said, this human approach and understanding, putting psychology into business then. But I've been noticing more and more that the one thing people are getting out of it is confidence. They feel more confident to go about their day-to-day activities because they're more in alignment with who they are, who their business is. And it just helps them move forward with more ease and grace.
Wow. On that note, I really feel we should end, because that is the best nugget. Wow, oh wow, oh wow. Lucy, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for being a light in the business world, because that's really what you offer, is a light, almost like a lighthouse, drawing people towards a safer harbor, a harbor of their choice. So thank you so much for that. And thank you for joining us today. I really appreciate you making the time.
Thank you so much for having me. I've really enjoyed it.
Oh, it's been awesome. People, remember to reach out to Lucy. I will put her details at the bottom, because we really, 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 when we're serious about shifting our mindset, shifting our life, and contributing and having experiences, being conscious is part of it. And Lucy definitely has the business operations to help you with. Thank you for joining us. Looking forward to seeing you next week. And Lucy, thank you again.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.